You're listening to the Synergy Leadership Podcast, a discussion with engaging, empowering, and enlightening leaders about the greatest competitive advantage in business and entrepreneurship that often goes unrecognized: a team's energy. Here's your host, the woman who puts the energy in synergy, Karen R. Jenkins.
Good day and welcome to another edition of KRJ Consulting's Synergy Leadership Podcast. I am Al Austin, your guest host for today's edition. I'm also a management consultant at the firm. Hopefully you had a wonderful holidays and we wish you a very happy new year. Today we've got a special guest with us, Karen Jenkins. She is the president of KRJ Consulting. She has been described as a visionary leader, a dynamic inspirational speaker, community and civic champion, a leading expert on small business development, and above all, she is passionate about family and the power of faith and synergy. So welcome, Karen. How are you doing today?
I am honored to be here, blessed to be here in 2025.
Indeed. Well, I could probably spend this whole segment on all the accolades and adjectives people have used to describe you. You do know that, right?
Yes.
You're well known and well liked. For those in our community who may not know your story, let's just start off. If you will, share briefly your journey and how you got to arrive at this point in life. I'm really trying to delve into, what is your North Star and how did you get here?
Well, I've concluded a book called The Obstacle is the Way. A very powerful book. I recommend it to our viewers. I definitely told our team that we needed to read it. And one of the things—
Give me that name again. Give me that name again.
The Obstacle is the Way.
Okay,
and
thank you.
One of the things that I've realized is that I had plans and God had other plans. So from being a homegrown Columbia, South Carolina resident to, attending the University of South Carolina and going on to be a banker. And I was working with CNS Bank. We became Nations Bank, and my plan was to stay there. I was going to retire as a banker. And then shortly after having my first child, my company said, "We love you. We want you to be on the team, but we want you to go to Charlotte." And Karen didn't do Charlotte traffic. And I just had my first child. I needed my network. So I put my prayers out and I said, "Lord, if I'm supposed to be here, make a way for me to stay here. If I'm supposed to be there, make a way for me to go there." And, I was blessed to get a job after 12 years at the bank. I was blessed to get another position at a mortgage company called RBMG. At the time, they were one of two independently owned mortgage companies in the country. Countrywide was the big monstrosity, and we were the little small guys. And again, my philosophy was that I was in, a management position. I came in as assistant vice president and probably within 2 years was a vice president. And my plan was to retire from RBMG. We became NetBank, the first internet-based bank in the country. And I was happy, doing well. And out of my 11 years there, the first half was in operations, which is where I came from in the banking world. And then I got an opportunity to go into sales and production. And that was a great experience for me because I think it started setting me up for what I need to learn and know to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know at the time. So after 11 years of working with RBMG and then NetBank, I got laid off. Was not really what I was planning, but I got laid off. They saw the disassemblement of our economy coming long before everybody else did. And I did not know what I wanted to do. I did not know where I was going. So I decided to open up a mortgage company with my nephew. Did not read the tea leaves in 2007.
A few things happened in 2008, right?
Yes. So, we were on our way doing things, had an office in Columbia, and we opened in March. And by June, we had an office in Charleston. By December, we closed the office in Charleston. And then in 2008, the ceiling fell out. And I started working with a nonprofit in Charleston that was looking for somebody with my credentials to help fight foreclosure in the state. And I had gone to mortgage banking school and I was at the bank. I went to banking school and I was at CNS Bank. I went to mortgage banking school, a 3-year program when I was at RBMG. So they were looking for someone with my background, but they did not want the mortgage company. So I actually opened up KRJ Consulting to be a service provider for the nonprofit. We worked with families that were facing foreclosure, started in April of 2008. And from April to December, we saved approximately 148 families that were facing foreclosure. In 2009, we went from doing one-on-one counseling to more of an outreach and an intake provider for the nonprofit, and loved what I did, loved it, to be that impactful to families that were in crisis. But one thing I noticed, Al, was that out of the people that we counseled, 65% of them didn't have to be there. And they were there because they listened to someone blindly. They were guided, I won't say mischievously, but they were guided into a direction they didn't have to go in. If you think about it, at that time, interest rates were pretty low. They could have gone into a fixed rate mortgage, and they went into adjustable rate. Why? Because a mortgage person said, hey, I need to guarantee another sale in 2 years, so I'll put you into this adjustable rate. And the subprime market went away in the instant, and the products that they would have refied into were gone. So a lot of these families were facing dire straits. I had clients that came to me that their house payment went up $600. I mean, can you imagine you're on a budget and then your payment goes up to $600? So I wrote a book that was released in 2010 called Nobody Told Me the Path to Financial Empowerment. And that was a financial literacy book, my life lessons of how, when I got to the University of South Carolina, I got an invitation for 20 plus credit cards, and I signed up for every last one of them. And it talked about my story of how I got out of that, and from guidance from my grandfather and my family, put myself on a budget, did a snowball effect, and published that book. Well, when it came out, I had an opportunity to work with Judy Gatson, our news anchor for the NBC affiliate WIS TV. And we started a weekly segment called Women, Wisdom, and Wealth. And I came on the Live at 5 news show every Wednesday and gave a 2-minute assistance or 2-minute tip to the audience on their personal finances. And then it kind of blossomed. We went not just from financial, but kind of life in general. What do you do when you get laid off? Or what are some life skills and leadership skills? And that ran for about 5 years. At the end of the 5 years, my father got sick. And of course, for me, when I have to do prioritization, my father will come first. And he got sick in September. We lost in September, because I had to redirect. We lost about 70% of our revenue, but that was fine. And I was blessed that Daddy got sick in September, we had him around for another 4 years. He passed in January of 2007, but we had to get back to it, right? We had to figure out where we go from there. So I started getting back out there, getting into government contracting again, trying to figure out what it is I needed to do. So June 1st, my son graduated from high school, and on June 5th, he had a ruptured brain aneurysm. Not what we expected, another life crisis, right? So again, I was blessed that I was an entrepreneur because I had my laptop with me and I could work from wherever I was. I had that experience with my dad. I think that experience prepared me to be able to handle the one with my son. I did not leave the hospital room. I was there by his side all the time, being there for him. He was in the hospital for 37 days. 21 of those was in ICU. We got home, and then 2 days later went to Atlanta so that he'd go to Shepherd Center for his rehab. We were down there for 2 months. That experience by itself could have crushed people. That experience by itself could debilitate you. But I had a business to run. And granted, we were limping, we were limping while we were running. But I had to be able to juggle the family, being there for my son, and running the business. So came home after that duration. My husband was retired military, so he was able to stay there and be the main support for my son while I was out trying to upright the business again. And when I talked to you about the fact that the obstacle is the way, and I read that book and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing myself in this. I'm seeing myself in this, because every challenge that I had, every obstacle that I had upfitted me and prepared me for that next level. So I'm here today, not just because I'm talented or whatever, but because I took every obstacle that I had and allowed God to build me up and come back stronger than where I was when I started.
Amen. I love that. I love that. Every time we get together, Karen. I learned something new about it. I did not know that you wrote a book. So that's exciting. And this other book, Obstacle is the Way, I definitely will hopefully find that and track that down. I think that'll be ideal for moving forward into 2025. But listen, talk to us a little bit about the mission and the philosophy of KRJ. And by the way, we are going to kind of delve into your TED Talk earlier that you did last year. But talk to us a little bit about the mission and the philosophy of the firm around engagement, enlightenment, and empowerment. What does all that mean?
So let me back up a little bit and tell you a little bit about what we do.
Mhm.
We morphed into a management consulting firm. As I said, we started out as a service provider for the nonprofit. After about, I think in 2012, I went to the Small Business Development Center and said, listen, I love working with nonprofits. They're great, but they're slow to get new contracts in, and babies needed milk. So what can I do? And I want to, rebrand. I want to go in and figure out what else can we do. So I said, well, what are my gifts and talents? I had been in management at that time, probably 20 years. So management consulting made sense. And so I pivoted into management consulting, leadership development, and then I got introduced to government contracting. So we got into federal government contracting, started learning that process. I was doing work for SCDOT locally. I did a little bit of work for the city of Columbia locally around leadership development, training, coaching, and that went well. But then the federal stuff after my son got sick took off. So we started going down that path. I started as a solopreneur. And then as the contracts came in, I was able to employ people. That's very important to me. One of our missions is to employ people. I want to help people. Our mission when I was doing the financial literacy and the stuff with the television is that we wanted to empower people to prepare, protect themselves financially. I want to empower people to prepare, protect themselves, period, right? To not fall victim to not knowing. Because a lot of times we fall victim to things because it's from a lack of knowledge. So as the company grew and we got contracts, we were able to bring in a family unit. And, we look at our core values. Our very first core value is people, always. And a lot of people say, well, the customer is most important. Customer is very important. They're the lifeblood of who we are. They're the things that give us the revenue. But to me, my people are more important, right? If I take care of my people take care of my clients. And I need to make sure that we're there to take care of them and make sure that they're okay. So we've always had that. And then we came up with the mantra of helping people, adding value, and making a difference. That is truly who I am. And that is truly who our team is, helping people, adding value, and making a difference. So then you say, well, how do you do that, Karen? How does KRJC do that? In our model of our engagement with our clients, it's engage, enlighten, and empower. Engagement means that when I'm sitting in front of you, or if we're training your staff, or if we're working with your people and we're coaching, we have to engage people. And then how do you do that? Because I've gone to training sessions where I'm sitting there, looking at my phone or making a grocery list because it's boring. Like, I don't know why I'm here. So one of the first things in engagement is helping people understand what's in it for them, right? Showing them what the benefit is and why they should pay attention. So the engagement piece is to get your attention, to help you understand what is of value to you here. Once we get your attention, then it's the enlightenment, it's the education, it's the, let me show you what you need to do. Let me tool you up. Let me give you a new skill. Let me share whatever it is that I need to share now that I have your undivided attention. Once you've been engaged and now you're enlightened, you're now empowered to do things that you didn't even know you could do. And that is our philosophy. Now, what does all that bring? It brings synergy. And we are a company and an organization that believes in synergy. And what is synergy? Synergy is the ability to acknowledge, understand, recognize your energy, and then to leverage your energy with those around you. Because together, there's so much more that we can accomplish than we can individually.
How can entrepreneurs use that mindset? We're getting ready to start a whole new year. How can entrepreneurs use that mindset in their business and in their lives?
It is mindset, right? One of the things that I hope people go out and look at your article that you wrote on health and kind of for the new year and how you can better prepare yourself and take care of yourself. So thank you for doing that. And you talked about the fact that it's 80% diet and 20% exercise, right? Well,
Exactly.
in life, period, I'm going to say just in business, I'm going to say in life, period, it is 80% mindset and 20% what you do. And I'll take that back. It's probably 90% mindset and 10% what you do. What we think dictates our emotions, and our emotions exude energy, and people feel energy. You can't see it, right? But you can feel it. You've gone to an event, or you walked into a room where two people just finished arguing. You can feel that. You have gone into rooms where there is so much excitement that it exudes from people's body. You can feel that. But when it's just kind of normal, we kind of lose sight. We don't really pay attention to the energy that we're carrying. And I love the saying that says, if you think you can and if you think you can't, you are right. It's really the mindset. It's really about what you believe, and do you have a vision, and are you working your way towards achieving those things when you make your mind up to say, I'm going to do that.
Awesome. Awesome. You'll see me. I'm taking notes yet again, Karen, because when I meet with you, there's always some nuggets. And so we're going to continue to get more nuggets throughout this particular podcast. But listen, great things happened last year in 2024. You became the first Black woman to chair the Columbia Chamber of Commerce. You participated in a national TED Talk. I believe it was called Leveraging the Power of Energy Within. And then we also, as a firm, concluded a 2-year huge strategic planning project with the United States Department of Transportation, which is awesome in itself. And at the same time within that, launched a national program called Pathways to Entrepreneurship, P2E. Tell us a little bit about these milestones and really, how is that positioning the company?
Well, we're blessed. I will say this. I have been blessed with a phenomenal team, which includes you. And none of that could have happened without the Al Austins of the world, the David Howards of the world, the Brenda Andersons of the world, the Patrice Jenkins of the world, the Don Fishers of the world, and then recently the Damian Pages of the world, the Raul Jenkins of the world. And then there are other team members that started with us that went off to do other things, and they were very impactful in what we did as well. The Jane Greens of the world, who's still with us. So our core corporate team allowed me the opportunity to go out and do other things in the community. We call it the servant leadership role. My mentor, Dr. Lewis Lynn, calls it paying our civil rent. I was able to do that because I had a team that was able to take the reins and handle the day-to-day business of the operation to continue to help us achieve those goals and those milestones. So first and foremost, we have team members in the field that work on our government contracts, that they are the ones that make us successful and make us look good. So I could not do any of this without any of them. So that's the first thing. With the Chamber of Commerce, that has been an honor, and a true honor to serve in that capacity, especially not just as the fifth female, the second African American, the first African American female. I'm not sure if I'm not either one of few small businesses that has chaired the Chamber of Commerce, because typically Chamber of Commerces are chaired by larger firms, banks, and utility companies and this thing. So to be honored to have that role and that responsibility meant a lot to me, and it was impactful. And I'm all about collaboration. I'm all about how can we make Columbia the best place to work, live, and play. And we do that by leveraging the leaders in our community, from the state and local officials, the city officials, the school districts, other entities that are crucially engaged and involved in ensuring that we are who we are. So that was a phenomenal opportunity for me to not only expose our company and myself, but to learn more about what happens in the integral parts of Columbia. Like, how does it work? And how can we help? That's the other thing, at the end of the day, now that it's done, what I want to do now is I've had an impact, but I want to have even bigger impact to say, now, where are the plugs? Where are the holes? What can KRJ Consulting do as a company to come and help fill some gaps that might be there to help our community? So that's on the chamber front. On the TEDx talk, was definitely on my bucket list. Had applied a couple of times at a couple of other venues and didn't happen. This was crazy because I was having lunch with a lady and she mentioned midstream, and this is how you know when God is in the mix. Midstream, we're having a conversation about her potentially coming to work with us. She cuts off her sentence and says, "Oh my gosh, TEDx is getting ready to happen in Myrtle Beach. You need to apply." It was a Thursday. The application was due on Monday. And yes, I submitted, I got selected, and it was life-changing for me. And it gave me the opportunity to tell the story of my son, our family, and our resilience. But even more so, when we talk about this energy thing, when we talk about this mindset thing, it gave me the opportunity to share with the world how that works and how it worked for us. Not just once. It worked with my father. It worked with my son. It has worked with my business. So if you have not looked at our TEDx talk, please go out and take a look at that as well, because it's very impactful and it tells a story and it tells how you can take small incremental steps to creating your own future and making it happen. The last thing I think you talked about was our opportunity to work with the U.S. Department of Transportation and supporting Secretary Pete Buttigieg and his team on their wealth creation and equity planning and just overall with the organization. That 2.5-year opportunity was phenomenal. It brought you to us. It brought David to us. And to be blessed again with your presence, with all that you offer, the experiences that you have and that David has and that the other team members that we brought on have, has been phenomenal. But, what we do and have done, and one of the things that we're passionate about is small business. I got certified as a DBE in South Carolina in October of 2012. I started doing DBE technical support training, capacity building with Department of Transportation in 2013, and we've been doing it ever since then. I have been very passionate about helping small businesses grow and prosper. I launched a program called Eat, Learn, Grow, probably 2018, 2019, when small businesses were saying, hey, I go and speak at an event, or I host a conference, or I'm speaking or training, and somebody always comes up and says, oh my gosh, Karen, that was so wonderful. Can we have coffee? Can we have lunch? And wonderful. That's what you're supposed to do, right? And I would normally say yes. But as the company grew, right, my responsibilities grew, and I didn't have time to have individual one-on-one sessions with people, and I did not want to say no. So I created the Eat, Learn, Grow, where we were at one point meeting monthly, then we had to go to bi-monthly, then it's quarterly, and with the chamber thing, we had to put it on pause. But it's a group mentoring, group coaching program where I let people come, and my favorite restaurant is Mio's. It was initially called Meet Me at Mio's. And from 11:30 to 1, we'd go in, have lunch. All they had to do was pay for their lunch. I paid for mine, and they could ask me anything I wanted. They had the opportunity to network with other people. And you also got the collaboration of hearing not just my answers and responses, but those of other people that may have a different perspective. So when we put all of that together, that was, again, my give back, part of my civil rent. But when we had the opportunity to work with small business on the national level, again, I couldn't have dreamed this up, right? But we were
that didn't happen for DBEs to get this type of contract and position where we were.
It typically doesn't. But again, the leadership there at the time was looking for a small minority firm or a small firm, whichever one it was, that could come in and help them work with their strategic planning. That's what we do, one of the things that we do. And we got introduced. They liked our past performance. They liked who we were, and they brought us in for a year. Well, we wowed them with service, which is what we do. And then they brought us back for another year. So we're continuously working with and helping and being impactful to our clients. But in this instance, not only were we able to be impactful for our clients, we were able to impact small businesses on a national stage. And we hosted an event called Pathways to Entrepreneurship. It was on September 10th of 2024. And the response was phenomenal. Like, they didn't give us the trigger to pull this off until like 60 days out. We were able to register 1,000 participants. And then the ones that were able to actually show up, because 40% of registrations is pretty good, half on virtual, half in person. these small businesses were hungry for what we were serving up. And our plan is hopefully to continue down this path to ensure that we're continuing to engage, enlighten, and empower these small businesses to either go into new innovation and technologies, to get access to capital, to grow and prosper so that they can get a bite at the apple for all the opportunities that are out there.
That is awesome. You said something earlier. One feature of our organization is staff augmentation. Can you unpack that just a little bit so people can understand that's another service that we do and how that's different from staffing?
Yes.
Staff.
And I can't remember the word off the top of my head. There's another term for it. I'll come back to it. But what happens with us, and I'll say primarily with our federal contracts, is mission. And I'll use the government as an example. There's a mission that needs to happen. You have military people who are active duty, who are normally stationed at a place for 2-3 years max. And when they're there, they're typically traveling 8 weeks at a time to go to some type of training. Then you have a federal employee who's there constantly. The gap that's there when that military person rotates in and out, as well as going in and out of training, kind of impacts the mission. So what they do is they augment their staff with people that have that same level of expertise and experience to ensure that the mission and objectives are continuously met. So we're not a staffing agency. We're a longer term staff augmentation firm where we hire subject matter experts in a variety of fields, whether it's IT support, where we do help desk, and IT support specialists, where we do administrative support services, we do writer developers, we have a strategic integrator, we have a defense travel administrators, we have a wide variety of subject matter experts that we bring on board to our staff that we send out to our client staff, and they work with our clients Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 4:30, typically 3 to 5 year terms and hopefully renewing, right? But we have a great relationship with our government clients because we know what it's like on the other end when things are not done right. We know what it is to make sure that we're trying to meet that mission. So we are a trusted advisor to not only our private sector clients, but to our government clients as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In many ways, the work that we did for USDOT, we were kind of staff augmenting there because they didn't have the time or the resources of staff in order to kind of delve into strategic planning or
Right.
pull off this national program that we did with Pathways to Entrepreneurship. Can you dive into that just a little bit as to what that was about? Again, 1,000 people, it was held in Washington, D.C. We had subject matter speakers from really, really everywhere. Can you just delve in that just a little bit?
So the wealth creation and equity plan that the Secretary of Transportation and his team had put together at this point, along with the president, was really focusing on the fact that the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure law bill that was passed was going to put half of that $1.2 trillion on the state level. Once it got to the state level, they wanted to ensure that small businesses, which incorporate small businesses, women-owned businesses, hub zone, veteran-owned businesses, and then the 8A businesses got a bite at the apple, which means that this is a 1 in 100-year opportunity. These dollars, 50 billion, half a trillion, whatever it was, coming down. When the smoke clears, we don't want to look around and go, oh, wait a minute, why didn't our small businesses have an opportunity to participate? So our programming came in to say, not only do we want to help you do that, but then where and how? There's a lot of innovative technology that has arisen in the last few years, and a lot of that is now in transportation. So our programming is to work with those businesses, not new businesses, but businesses that, been around for a minute, they have revenue, they have staff, but we have identified by NAICS codes where the dollars are going to fall. If you're fishing in a pond for a certain kind of fish, we want to make sure you put you in the pond where the fish is, right? We don't want you fishing and then the lake is all dried up. So we've identified by NAICS code where these new dollars are going to fall. And then we're going to work with these small businesses to help them pivot into some of those areas, not to undo what they've done, not to stop working in the field that they're working in, but maybe to augment or add an additional offering that will help them get more business and have an opportunity to get access to some of these dollars. So our programming was initially a pilot. We'll call it an alpha pilot. It's a one-day event that introduces the concept. And the plan was that after we introduced it, that then hopefully we could come back with the full-blown pilot, which was either going to be a 6 or a 12-month program for selected businesses that went through. We were going to do metrics and monitor and help them get access to capital, understand how they could pivot and what that might look like. So you say, well, what that might look like, Karen, if you're an electrician or you had that background, we know that EV stations are needing to be installed across the country because we have all these new electrical vehicles. Well, maybe you can pivot into offering that. There are other, and it's not just about EV. Everybody wants to do EV, but there are other areas that we've identified that will help people understand that you can go and do other things in the industry of innovative technology.
There are just tons of emerging technologies and things that are coming out that is so important for small businesses to begin to look not where they are now, but where things going.
Yep.
And that's exciting. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about pivot to innovation a little bit later. I want to go back just a moment to your TEDx talk, which I thought was just incredible. And I'll go ahead and be transparent. I was going through the effects of early stage prostate cancer, and you gave me the early version of that video, and it was so inspiring for me. That was very helpful as I went through that journey, and a wonderful journey. I'm on the other side of it, undetectable. So praise God. But thank
Praise
you.
God.
But the talk itself, it was an incredible story of resilience, the power of prayer, and focused energy. Can you share a moment about when you realized that the power of energy was not only shaping your son's recovery, but about also your leadership approach? Can you kind of connect all of that for me?
So let me explain a little bit about kind of what all this means, and then I'll kind of bring you back, circle back, because
Sure.
I've kind of been like this all my life, right? Whether we know it or not. And I just gave you the example of the positive energy room that you walk into and the negative energy room that you walk into. And then as humans, we carry energy all throughout the day. And we might resonate for the most part in one particular area, but for the most part, depending on circumstances, if you're with your kids, you're probably high energy and loving. And if you're at work, you might be stressed out like this or whatever. The reality is that the frequency that we predominantly occupy determines the quality of our lives. And people don't recognize that. They don't see that. They don't realize that. And we don't do a lot of self-reflection and self-checking, right? What we don't know or what people don't realize is that you can leverage your energy to change whatever trajectory of your life is going. And it starts with your emotions. What people don't understand is that your emotions are energy in motion, and people can feel that. And what happens is, because it plays such a pivotal role, our emotions dictate how we feel. Our emotions will dictate how we see things, how we perceive things. If you're happy and lucky, you can see a cup, and that'll be the most beautiful cup in the world. If you're sad and depressed, you can see that exact same cup. And you're like, oh my God, this is the ugliest thing in the world. So keep in mind that our emotions can cloud our vision, which ultimately limits our potential. What happens is there's a cycle here. So you start with your thoughts, how you think. How you think creates your emotions. So that triggers how you feel. How you feel will lead you to do things a certain way or act a certain way. Those particular actions will create and result in certain experiences. And then those experiences will cause you to have a certain thought. So you can see how the thought creates the emotion creates the action creates the thought. So there's this cycle here. And what we have to understand is that I like to say where our mind goes, our energy flows, which back to that emotion thing. And if we focus on the bad things, and which is typically what we do, like you worry about everything in the world, and then you done worried yourself to death, and 9 times out of 10, whatever you were worrying about didn't ever occur. So I call that wasted emotion, right? Like waste gas. But if you create a vision and you say, this is where I'm going and this is what I'm going to focus on, and you attach a positive emotion to that, that positive emotion is going to cause you to react and act in a certain way. And when you act and react in a certain way, that's going to result in another thought. And then that thought is going to evoke another emotion. So you get into this positive cycle. So as a business owner, you can't fix what you don't measure. So I would say on a daily basis, especially as a leader, because as a leader, my emotion is going to probably dictate my team's emotion. If I come into work every day all stressed out and whatever, what do you think I'm going to do to my team? As a parent, if I'm coming into the room all stressed out, what do you think that's going to do to your children? So we have to first do a self-check. Now that we have a self-check, we have to figure out, where are we going? What is it that excites us? What vision are we trying to create? Dr. Wayne Dyer say that you say what it is that you want to do and then act as if it is already so. So if it's something that I'm excited about, it's something that I want to do, it's something that I want to achieve, if I'm going to act as though it's already so, then I'm going to be joyous. I'm going to have excitement. I'm going to be, reflect joy. And then that's going to attract a whole lot of other things in my life. So when you talk about leadership, it's that emotional intelligence for self first. And then there's the emotional intelligence that you deal with teams. Our Centerversity model that we have at KRJ Consulting is leading self, leading others, leading teams, and then leading results. And that's our platform. That's what we teach. But you always have to start with self.
Love that. Again, I'm sitting here writing more notes. Listen, we had an election last year, and of course, there was mixed reaction from many communities across the country. That you did something very unique that no other employee in my past has ever did. You brought us together as a team and allowed some open dialogue, but yet you inspired us for the future to kind of reset our minds. I think I even wrote it down. You said, even in your TED Talk, your thoughts right now are previews of coming attractions of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was powerful. How can leaders and entrepreneurs use this concept to kind of create more positive outcomes for their teams, but also talk a little bit about kind of what you did? Because I thought it was powerful. You allowed us to do that.
So, the reality is, as humans, life happens, and the challenges that we face as a family with my father and then with my son, we got half of the country happy about the election, the other half not. There's news media, there's social media, there's all these things that are there to distract us. There are things that, if you focus on them, remember the cycle I just talked to you about. If you're watching the news, if you're on social media, they're going to produce negative emotions. Those negative emotions that cause you to have a action, it's probably not going to be a good one. And then those good actions are probably going to cause some thoughts that are not good ones. And then you're going to go through that process. So, my conversation with the team, and again, I'm going to go back to the obstacle is the way, because you can see I had a bunch of obstacles in my life, like many, 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 but they got me to where I am today. So as an organization, acknowledge, as a leader, acknowledge, as an individual, acknowledge the reality of what is, and then figure out, well, what do you want it to be? Now, there's certain things that you have power over that you can impact, and there's certain things that you can't. And trying to make things change that you have no power over causes a lot of stress. And here's how I tell people, stress and cortisol levels are increased when your expectations are here, but reality is here. And the wider the gap, the bigger the stress. But when the reality is here and the expectations here, there's only one variable here that you can change, and that's your expectations. So either you can shrink your expectations or remove them altogether. and just say, I'm going to be like this bottle of water, right? If the bottle of water runs left, then the water goes left. If the bottle of water goes right, the water goes right. So what we have to do is focus just on what we have control over. Now, what I share with my team is we can focus on the outcome of the election. We can focus on the news. We can focus on the social media. We can focus on all of the negativity and the stuff that's being said and the contentiousness and all of that, or we can focus on our business. We can focus on the lives of the individuals that are depending on us to do our jobs right so that they can continue to take care of their families. We can focus on the communities in which we serve, right? And figure out what it is that we can do to contribute. I'm not saying all that noise is not going to happen, but let's just look at this as what's happening out in the world is a thunderstorm, it's a snowstorm, it's a windstorm, whatever you want to call it, it's a rain. But in your household or in your office, you're not going to stop working just because it's raining outside. You might glance to say, oh, it's raining. You might need to put on an umbrella, or carry a coat or whatever. But at the end of the day, you still have to take care of what's happening in your house. So our mantra is that we're going to focus on the things that are inside and keep our eye on our ball. We have our specific goals that we have set as an organization. We have our specific goals that we have set as individuals, and we will focus on those. As the world is going on around us, all fine and good. When the smoke clears, we had a goal set from getting from point A over here to point Z, we will get there. But for those of us who are losing sight of our specific goals and we're watching television and we're analyzing and we're getting frustrated and we're doing the social media thing and we're just, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed. You're at A, and I'm sure prior to the election or whatever happened to you in your life, you were planning to get to Z. You're going to wake up in a couple of years, a couple of months, a couple of weeks, and everybody else is going to be at Z, and you might be at G, maybe. You might still be at A, and that's a problem. So let's not get distracted. Let's focus on the things that we can impact, and each one reach one. Each one of us will be there to uplift each other and to stay focused to ensure that we create our own personal vision and that we create our corporate vision. And that's what we've done. We have a corporate vision, we have an individual visions and collective team vision. We're going to focus on those things. I'm not going to tell you the things out there are not happening because they are. I'm just going to tell you, I ain't got nothing to do with it.
I understand. I understand. Now, at the beginning of each year, and you may be able to answer this, and I think we're going to have some segments in our newsletter about it. Beginning of each year, everybody kind of runs to the gym, try to get themselves in shape. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to do these things better. All that, for the effort of a more positive outcome in their health. What kind of nuggets would you give to an entrepreneur or a small business for their own health of their business going into 2025? What kind of things should they be doing, would you say?
So again, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. So the first thing is, do you have a set of measurements, key performance indicators that gives you an idea of what is your company's blood pressure, what is your company's, temperature, kind of measuring. But the first thing you need to do is figure out what is your company and where you're going. You have to set goals. And goals can't be set based on all of this noise that's out there. And your goals can't be set on somebody else's organization or somebody else's company. They have to be personal to you and your organization. So setting a vision of where you want to go today. So I'm here today. Where am I going? And then your life is going to be based on that. Your life is going to be based on the vision that you create for your organization. You create the vision as a leader. You tell your team where you're going, and y'all come in and put in the processes to get you there. And then you want to have checkpoints to make sure that you reach those things. The other thing I'll tell you is, and I just had this conversation with a friend last night, is when we create these visions, right, there are all kinds of opportunities that are going to come our way. I'm telling you the gold nuggets that when I first started, oh, Karen, come and partner with me on this. Oh, Karen, come over here and do this. And Karen, come over and do this. And you get all excited. It's, okay, yeah, let's go do that. Well, no. If you have your goals set, you have your vision set, when that opportunity comes, you ask yourself this question: is that opportunity going to get me closer to or further away from the goal and vision? Is that opportunity going to delay or cause me not to get where I'm going as fast as I want? If the answer is it's going to impede us, then it's not now. I'm not telling you I can't do it. I'm just telling you I can't do it right now because my vision and my goals have been set, and this is where I'm going. So it's also kind of a bumper sticker to keep you in the lanes, right? When you have your vision and your mission set, I will always say it's lonely at the top. It really is. As an entrepreneur, I'm different from when I was in corporate because I could a whole lot of people I can go talk to, I can brainstorm, whatever. Up here, not so much. So join a organization, a group, a mentoring group, a mastermind group, accountability group that can help you where you got like-minded people that have similar or close to similar challenges that you can get in that safe space and be a part of something that will help you stay on task. The Eat, Learn, Grow program I told you about, that was similar to kind of that environment. And we're looking at creating a model of community where we can give that safe space to our small business community so that they can keep each other accountable, have people that they can go and use as sounding boards, get education and direction and guidance on certain things that they're looking to do.
Well, you certainly are building a community. When I just look back to, many of the things you did, just the eat, learn, grow, you took the time out, you were concerned about your community, and you did that just on your own accord with no desire for any, trying to think of the word I'm trying to.
Compensation.
There you go. There
Yeah.
you go. Exactly. Exactly. But as we're talking about getting things together for 2025, there are a number of exciting things that are coming for KRJ and the community that we're serving. Can you talk a little bit about this pivot to innovation and our small business mastermind classes that are coming?
So along the lines of along the Eat, Learn, Grow, when we had the need, when people wanted to connect and they wanted to leverage my experiences and wanted to do that, and probably even more so, Al, from the question that you asked about the unknown that the team felt when we first had our first meeting of 2025. And we all had to come together to acknowledge that there was a lot of stress. And regardless of what side of the fence you were on, it was still stressful, right? Everybody doesn't have that safe space. Everybody doesn't have somebody that they can come and privately vent to or have somebody redirect their mindset so that they can stay focused. So with that in mind, similar to what we did when COVID happened. When COVID happened, we had Eat, Learn, Grow, which was an in-person event. Within a couple of weeks of us shutting down the country, we had an Eat, Learn, Grow virtual, and we had several sessions where we came in and we worked with the leadership and gave them helpful tips on how to work virtually. There's a process of being able to work from home. Everybody can't do it. How do you manage your team virtually? What are the things that you need to consider when you talked about the contingency planning that needed to go into place for the COVID crisis? So we're going to revamp that model and create a community of Eat, Learn, Grow virtually. We'll call it something else. I'm not quite sure what we're going to call it, but we're looking at creating a virtual community where people can grow together, prosper together, thrive together, where they can be engaged, they can be enlightened, they can be empowered. And we're going to give educational guidance on the leadership level, on the small business level. And it is going to be designed for those small businesses. Remember, I said it's lonely at the top. So you're looking for that community to come into to get that guidance, to use the sounding boards. But we're also going to give great content. So 2 programs, Pathways to Innovation. We're going to be looking at the higher level, and I'm going to call it the graduate level or PhD level of access to capital. There are a lot of programs out there that talk about access to capital. They will teach you access to capital. There are programs like Enterprise, 10,000 Small Businesses, which I have gone through. I chaired the Small Business Committee for the State Chamber of Commerce currently, and I was the chair of the Midlands Minority Business Accelerator at the Columbia Chamber before I chaired the chamber. And some of the feedback that we've gotten from the alumni of that program that went through Enterprise is, yeah, y'all did a great job of giving us a foundation. You gave us a great job of uplifting our company and showing us how to get out there and do the things and measure and understand our financials and all that stuff. But we still don't have access to capital. How do we get access to capital? So we're amping up our game to partner with investors, bankers, other lenders to drill down into why is there a gap and present to these small businesses the roadmap, the playbook to actually go out and get the capital. It's one thing to understand about it. How do you get the capital? So we're putting together a workshop on specifically how to do that. We're looking
about where's the money?
Where's the money? Yeah, where's the money? And we're going to bring those experts in, including angel investors and bankers and CDFIs, to be at the table to have these conversations about what are they looking at. If an underwriter is going to underwrite me, I need to know what do I need to do to qualify? I go to college, I get a rubrics on, how I'm going to be graded, right? We're putting together the rubrics for how do you qualify for a loan? And we're going to be sharing that in our programming. We're going to have a community that you can be a part of ongoing that will give you, monthly support, community support, all of that. But we're also going to have what I'm calling an intensive. Either you can stay with us for that year eventually we'll cover all of the pieces, or you can get the intensive where we're going to drill down and spend a day with you, or we might split it up into segments of once a week for how many time to give you that real intensive to know exactly what you need to do to be able to go out and position yourself to qualify.
How do our viewers become part of this community? Because it really, really sounds like, again, it's like a movement. You're starting something, Karen. It's almost like a movement and building this community. How can people become part of this?
Well, initially, you want to be in our newsletter community, which is on our website at krjconsulting.com. And at the very top of the website, it says join our community. So everything that we'll be doing as far as launching this program, it will be put in the newsletter. We'll probably be looking at it on the social media side. So like us on LinkedIn, KRJ Consulting, Facebook, KRJ Consulting, and be on the lookout for the notices coming out really, really soon. I will tell you, as far as the hot topics, this is going to be limited space. So if you want to be in the initial founding group, you will need to be kind of right there waiting for us to open up the doors and invite you in. Because once this happened, the train is leaving the station. We'll come back and get the rest of you later on. But for now, we're going to take this initial group, use it as our pilot, get feedback from them on how we can make it even better. I have almost 40 years of experience in management. I have 15, 16, almost 20 years as an entrepreneur. So we're leveraging not only my experience, Brenda Anderson, who is one of our lead consultants on the team, you, David. We're leveraging the experiences that we have on our team to share and help grow other small businesses. That is our passion. That is who we are. So back to the helping people, adding value, make a difference. This is the way we're going to do that.
Good deal. So been taking a whole lot of notes here today, and I've really enjoyed this conversation. If our listeners could take away just one thing from today's conversation, Karen, what should it be?
There's so many, but it's all about mindset. Where our mind goes, our energy flows. And if nothing else, go out and look at my TEDx talk, apply the tips in that. I can break it down for you by the end of things that you can do to change your life and change the life of others. And then the other thing I would say is connect, stay positive. Don't focus on the negative. It will take you down. It will make you ill. But if you focus on what your vision is, and if each one of us can uplift a global consciousness of positivity, I think we can change the world.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much for your time today, Karen. This has been extraordinary. And we'll look forward to what's going to happen in 2025.
I look forward to it too, Alan. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Synergy Leadership Podcast with Karen R. Jenkins. If you like what you heard today, please subscribe, rate, review, and share our show. See you next time.